Goaltender is one of the most unique positions in all of team sports, and hockey netminders often have the personalities to match. But even among this group of oddballs, Tim Thomas stands out. Thomas was recently inducted into the US Hockey Hall of Fame, and naturally that has some people wondering if he'll one day be enshrined in that other Hall of Fame in Toronto. It's a difficult question made even more challenging by the singular nature of his career, which started late and peaked as suddenly as it ended. Thomas began his career at the University of Vermont in the mid-1990s before landing in Finland. He wasn't entirely ignored by the NHL. The Quebec Nordiques selected him in the 9th round of the 1994 draft when he was a freshman of Vermont, but he couldn't crack an NHL lineup until 2002, when he made 4 starts for the Boston Bruins at the age of 28. That was the last NHL action Thomas would see for a couple years, but he worked his way into Boston's starting tandem in 2005 after posting a bonkers season with Jokerit during the lockout. He became the Bruins' unquestioned number 1 netminder the following season and guided them to a playoff berth in 2008. But it's what came next that truly defined Thomas's career. 2009 and 2011 are the years that give Thomas a claim at fame. In those 2 seasons, he stocked his trophy case with 2 Vezinas, a Jennings Trophy, and a Conn Smythe to go with Boston's 2011 Stanley Cup win. He was dominant in a way few goalies ever have been, recording the highest save percentage of any goaltender to start at least 50 games in a season. And he was unconventional, melding old school techniques with a little Dominik Hasek to create a style that was engaging to watch, even when he was doing it against your favorite team. His personality was also unconventional for hockey, in that he had one at all. From his InfoWars-style rants on Facebook, to his decision not to visit the White House because of Obama, Thomas stood out. He didn't hide from who he was on or off the ice, and whether or not you agreed with him, it was hard not to respect him for that. Thomas only played 1 more year in Boston before sitting out the lockout-shortened 2013 season. He tried to return to action with the Florida Panthers as a 39-year-old, but that season would be his last. Thomas later revealed the extensive brain injuries he suffered while playing, which, along with his age, helped contextualize the relatively sudden end to his career. So, is all that Hall-worthy? Well, to answer that, let's look at how the Hockey Hall of Fame treats goaltending. 38 goaltenders have been inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame, 6 of them in the last 20 years. It's an exclusive club featuring the best of the best, and the Hall is perfectly comfortable not selecting a goalie for a few years if no one is deemed worthy. Thomas joins other retired netminders like Curtis Joseph and 3-time Cup winner Chris Osgood in the waiting room, but Thomas's multiple Vezina trophies should give him an edge. Of the 22 goalies with at least 2 Vezinas, only 4 are not in the Hall. There's Thomas, Sergei Bobrovsky, who's still active, Michel Larocque, and Charlie Hodge. In Larocque's case, all 4 of his Vezina wins were shared with other goaltenders, and Hodge only won 1 Vezina alone, leaving Thomas as the only retired goalie outside the Hall with at least 2 unshared Vezina Trophy wins. Add his Cup win and his Conn Smythe to that, and it sounds like a winning case. However, awards are far from the only criteria here. One aspect of a goalie's career that the Hall appears to value highly is longevity. Along with individual achievements, pretty much all Hall of Fame netminders were good for a long time, or at least good enough to stay a starting goaltender. In a modern context, that means playing in the NHL for the better part of 2 decades and appearing in at least 700 games. In fact, Gary Cheevers was the last goalie inducted with fewer than 500 NHL appearances in 1985, and he played more than 600 games if you add his 4 seasons in the WHA. Hall of Famer Ken Dryden only played 397 games in his career, but he is in the conversation for greatest goalie of all time with 5 Vezinas and 6 Cups. As great as his 2 Vezina seasons were, Thomas is not a part of that conversation, and his career total of 426 NHL appearances is by far the biggest argument against his worthiness. Personally, I do think Thomas belongs in the Hall of Fame. I just think he might have to wait a while. Like recent inductee Rogie Vachon. Vachon had to wait until 2016 to be honored despite retiring in 1982. Considering 489-win goalie Roberto Luongo just retired, and Henrik Lundqvist and Marc-Andre Fleury will retire soon, Thomas could be waiting a few decades before he's inducted. If he ever is. Hey everyone, thanks for watching to the end of the video. In case anyone's wondering, I'm not a Bruins fan. If anyone was hoping to call me a Bruins homer in the comments, I'm very much not I'm a Leafs fan, so, the Bruins. But, I credit where it's due. Tim Thomas, I think he's a Hall of Famer. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. Just, keep it civil. It's just hockey. Or let me know if you agree as well. I'd love to hear from everyone who watches this video. Oh, and, like and subscribe and all that good stuff.